Hey everybody, welcome back to Conversation with me, Rick.
And me, Nain.
And our very special guest,
Denise Gonzalez.
Now, here's the crazy thing, because you know how I always get names messed up, and I actually let him lead into that. Everybody calls Denise Gonzalez Auntie. So,
why is that?
Okay for us to do that?
Sure.
Now, where did that come from? Because I know it's an island thing.
It is an island thing. Well, you know, at one point, the island people all believed in raising the children together. So it was where all the kids, no matter who, because even if it was a neighbor, the kids would call them auntie because they would help out watching the kids at times. So that's where that came in. So that's how the
village, right?
island people do, you know. They take care of each other.
Is that reason the same thing about cousin? Hey, cuz, you know, everybody's cousin.
Brother, sister.
Yeah, usually if they're young, right?
So there is kind of like, okay, so if there's an age difference, then it's auntie and uncle. If you're about the same, then it's brother and sister. Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah.
You get a little cultural sense.
The reason why, and if you guys have noticed that we're in a new location, we're actually at Auntie Denise's house here in Las Vegas. And we're excited because we get to go play later on.
Wait, You're just going to throw me into like the grinder and let her do stuff on me, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to let you get beat up while I go play on the slot machines.
Hey, that's a good idea.
Is that right? Then afterwards, she and I are going to go play bingo.
Lovely. So I don't get bingo.
Let me ask you this, Auntie Denise. We talked earlier, before we got onto the camera here. You started when?
When I was 12.
12 years old. Was there any pressure for you to do that? Because
no,
it sounded like you, but
you're a
12-year-old girl, and you want to do martial arts.
Well, my mom was a hula dancer, and my dad was a ukulele player. My uncle taught in Hawaii.
And your uncle's name is?
Professor Anton Gonzalez.
Right. And he's very popular down there.
Yep. He was actually part of the Professor Okazaki group, the Danzanru group. So he used to come and visit us at least once a year for the convention. And he used to bring my cousins with them, who also were doing Danzanru and Judo. And my brother at the time was kind of getting picked on, and he was kind of small. And my mom
what's the age difference between you and your
brother? 3 years.
Okay,
3
so
years.
he was about
and
15.
I used to beat him up too. So.
Anyway. It starts at home.
Break the circle out there.
Exactly. So my mom and dad talked to my uncle about my brother taking some kind of martial arts.
So he can protect himself from his sister?
Yeah. And that too. So anyway, my mom and dad decided, okay, let's go ahead and put him in. And my uncle said, well, you know, Wally J., who is in Alameda, he says, he's my best friend. He says, so why don't you go learn from him? He's teaching judo and jiu-jitsu there. So they decided to put him in, and Mom was going to enroll me in hula dancing, and I didn't want to do hula dancing. I was a tomboy, you know. I was still playing softball in school. I was still playing basketball and everything.
What position did you play at softball?
I was a first baseman and a pitcher.
Oh, wow.
Pitcher. Wow.
Yeah, she has that arm.
I
know
did.
She hit me earlier.
I know, she
it's
tapped me.
It's still there. You can't throw 90 miles an hour anymore, but I'm sure you can throw me quite far.
So that was a long time ago.
I'm sure you can hit just as hard because I felt it. Nain says you almost choked him out the other day.
Oh, the Ohana.
At the Ohana.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. You were showing this.
You didn't tap.
I think I did.
He couldn't. He passed.
I don't think I did.
He did not.
He became
She did
everybody's.
not make me pass out, folks. We were just playing.
She's not mean and evil like we always say she is.
No. But she is tough. And growing up a tomboy like that, is that what gave you that toughness, or was that toughness something that you just already had?
I didn't want to do hula dancing.
She didn't want to be a girl.
I wanted to do judo.
Really? So what was it about it that drew you to it? What is it that you liked? Or is it just an alternative to dancing?
I'm kind of a brawler anyway, you know. And back in the 60s, there wasn't too much in judo for women at all, you know. I mean, I even had a hard time trying to find competition because at the time it was so... I was really like one of the only girls in the dojo. Wow. And Wally J., the way he had his dojo, he had a Victorian home in Alameda. Okay. And he had his basement, which was his dojo.
So we're talking concrete?
No. He what he did was they fixed it, and then they actually use like styrofoam, and they used horsehair, and then they used canvas on the top of the horsehair.
Wow.
So it was pretty soft, you know, it was pretty good.
Huh.
And we had a pretty good team. I mean, Wally J had already had a lot of students who were in the AAU. At that time, it wasn't USJA and USJF.
Now, what's AAU? What is that?
AAU was Athletic Association.
Okay.
And at that time, a lot of the athletes competed. And the AAU was an organization that had different things like their Olympics and for baseball teams and, you know, wrestling and stuff like that. And then eventually they had an organization called United States Judo Association and the United States Judo Federation. Those two came in.
No, here's something crazy, and I've been wanting to say this to you because, as all of you can tell, she looks like a really nice lady, somebody you see at a church or at a casino, just pulling on slots, right? All nice in there.
Church and casino.
But this lady can throw most guys that I know and put them to shame and just toss them like they're nothing. And you know, you're so pleasant and nice. I mean, even your hospitality here at the house.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm like, she feeds us, first of all.
Sit down, eat. Can we say hi first?
Typical Filipino. And that's the thing, you know, I actually thought you were not Filipino. I thought you might have been Spanish or Mexican or something, again, just because of the name. But then you hear the word auntie, and you hear, you know, and you talk the kind of the Portuguese thing. And I'm like, okay, maybe she's not. Right?
Well, Mom is Chinese.
Okay.
Pure Chinese. And Daddy was Portuguese Filipino. And there's a drop of Hawaiian somewhere there.
So let me ask
we just say, hey, we're from Hawaii, so we're Hawaiian. Just like
so
California.
you actually lived on the island?
Mm-hmm. I actually was born at Tripler Hospital in Honolulu.
Wow.
And then we left there when I was about probably 4. And then Mom moved up to the San Francisco Bay Area. Because at the time, you know, it was hard to find work.
Especially
and my mom was a school teacher.
Oh.
And she was actually going to she graduated at San Francisco. And then Daddy was in the Navy still. And then he had left the Navy after being there for about 9 years.
Okay.
And he was on, I guess, PTSD, so he was on disability.
Wow. Really?
So he ended up becoming a civil servant for Hunters Point and Alameda Naval Air Station.
Yeah.
And then he went to Mare Island, so he went to those 3 places and was working there.
Okay,
yeah. He, and of course, it was easier for them to get a job as a school teacher.
Right.
And then Daddy working for
especially
Mare
over
Island.
here.
Yeah.
How long were you in the Bay Area?
Oh my gosh. Till I was probably 19. Wow. I got married the first time at 20.
20?
I know. It was depressing.
No, we have that in common.
Yeah.
We have that in common. That's why when I told you earlier, it's one of the reasons. Way too young.
That's it.
Way too young.
And then my son came from my first husband.
Okay.
So my son's now, he's 43.
Wow. That puts you at 53?
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I like your math.
They're going to give me $5 in quarters for the slot.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? If you're
and I've been doing martial arts for 56 years.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Okay, so 57.
So your name is really big in the circuit.
Yeah.
I
really?
mean, and not just in judo, but in everything else. We've been talking to a lot of martial artists, obviously, right? We talk to all the big names, and your name comes up, and it's always in the very sweetest way.
Good.
But every time you hear about your stories about you beating people up and getting your black belts and your, you know, all these tournament things and whatever else.
Defending yourself, yeah.
You know, I would have never guessed that. Looking at you, I would have never thought, oh, no, she doesn't do judo. Oh, she doesn't do this. She doesn't do that.
You're very unassuming.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what a martial artist is supposed to be, right?
No.
A martial artist is supposed to be unassuming and humble.
I like that. I like the humble
It's the
part.
truth. It's the truth. You're supposed. That's part of you being a martial artist.
Right. Is that
Otherwise, you're not a true martial artist. If you can't be humble and unassuming,
Right.
then you're not a true.
That means you're
martial
showing
artist.
off. You're being
you're
a
showing
braggart
off.
and blah, blah,
You
blah.
know, then to me, that you're a bully.
Yeah.
You're learning martial arts to be a bully. So,
But you carry it so well. That's why. I mean, like I said, I would have never suspected at all.
Well,
When I
also
first-
she's in great health.
Yeah, when I first saw her, I was like, oh, whose mom is this? Right? You know, because you just don't know. And then when I started hearing, go, oh, dude, you don't know that's blah, blah, blah. I'm like, really? I'm
And
like,
then Dennis
what?
read off her resume,
Yeah.
and I was like, I'm scared. But it's awesome. I mean, you've accomplished a lot of things. You're in 2-3 Hall of Fames. You've been noted. You have how many dons in different arts, and you're still training. To this day, you're still training. You're not just teaching; you're also learning.
No, I'm learning.
So, what are you learning right now? What is your
I
thing?
actually, I left California and I was learning from Art Gonzalez, and I did tequetas. And when I came down to Las Vegas, I decided, try something different.
Okay.
So I wanted to expound upon the tequetas and at least learn sticks, right? So I went ahead and started learning eskrima. And one of my best friends, Graciela Casillas, is a stick fighter. So, I wanted to go ahead.
What system does she do?
She does Kali also. She's a Serrata.
Serrata.
Because she learned from Angel Caballas.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I know we keep running into people that train directly from Angel Caballas, and
then she also learned from Danny Inosanto. So.
Jeez.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it really is. That's intense.
Where's she at?
She is actually in Oxnard.
Oxnard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, that's still in California, isn't it?
I'll look it up later.
We could drive.
Yeah, we can drive.
Oh, yeah.
So let me ask you this: you've seen a lot in the martial arts world, not just judo, but and all the other things that you've seen. I mean, you're good friends with a lot of the top names, especially in the Bay Area. And I'm talking about Harry Green, Bob Gomez,
Carlito.
Carlito, and again, you will have seen all those things. Now, let me ask you, how was it in the beginning to where you are at now? Has there been a big change in martial arts?
In what way?
Well, because, we being of the bladed mind, we've broken from tradition. We've kind of said, tradition is great, nothing wrong with it, but in this era of MMA and how fights have changed and how the mentality of the fight has changed.
Yeah, what's applicable?
The only thing really I find, and this has been really difficult, and most women instructors and women martial artists will say the same thing. When I came in the 60s, women weren't a part of it.
Yeah, you said you were the only one in the dojo.
And we didn't get the recognition, and we didn't get the type of variety offered to us, right? And especially when judo. I mean, now you see people like Ronda Rousey, who's very well known. And
well, that's what I'm saying. All these changes all of a sudden.
And but the guys, I don't quite understand it. I don't know if it's a testosterone thing or what, because everybody, I see a lot of fighting. Like, I'm better than you are.
It's this thing.
And exactly. And I think it is a testosterone thing, because women don't do that, you know? I mean, we don't sit there and go, my boobs are bigger than yours. We don't do that.
Except for one exception, Malia. Because she was doing this, I want to fight the guys. She said, I want to fight the men.
But that's what she did, and I think that's what Auntie's getting to, is that you had to go to those extremes to be recognized. And I think you mentioned earlier you wanted to fight the guys.
Oh yeah, well that's what I did.
Oh, you did.
I did because when I was in my only dojo, being the only female, at the time. I mean, that's all I did was randori, which was sparring with the guys.
True.
I only sparred with the guys. Wally J, like I said, he had a basement, and he had a wall heater that was against the wall, right? And I remember growing up doing sparring, doing randori, and being thrown up against the wall, and my head, that dent is still there. My head.
That was your
dent in your head or the wall?
was on the heater. That heater?
The heater.
Yeah, she dented the heater.
I dented the heater. And so Wally started putting things like, what do you call it? The fencing, the chain link fencing. Right? The chain link fencing up. And he had to reinforce everything. Because he had windows. He had windows, and we were breaking the windows, because they were rough.
So you were the bad student. Because it sounded like
we were just
breaking everything.
really rough. And I remember, throwing, and I felt sorry for this one kid. His name was Fritz Johnson. And
sorry, Fritz.
I threw him, and his father was, they were sitting benches on the side.
Watching.
Did this. And Fritz was And so his father just chewed him out. You're going to let a girl beat you? You're going to let a girl throw you? And this poor kid, and he was a purple belt at the time.
Right.
This poor kid, now I was white.
Oh my God!
And he's crying,
Yeah.
and
Talk
you
about
know,
an
and
ego.
he's like this, and we're working out again. But he was bound and determined to throw me because his father just chewed him out because a
Oh
girl
my
beat
God.
him, and so I was really beat up. I mean, I was really beat up. The
You
guys
should have got up and
me
beat up the
all
dad just
the
for the heck
time,
of it.
you know, because it
That's
was brutal.
crazy.
It was
Yeah.
brutal, you know. And
So
if-
they were really trying to. They were
Oh, they were trying to
make
hurt
you-
me.
yeah.
They were
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to hurt me big time.
So,
and I
but-
think they were trying to make sure that I, you know, would quit or something.
Oh, yeah,
and
that
I
you
never
knew
did.
your place.
I never
Yeah.
did.
They were trying
But
to
you
put you in
know,
your
I'll
place.
tell you, even going through all of that, when I went to compete,
Mm-hmm.
all of those guys were my brothers. All of a sudden, they were rooting for me.
Yeah.
They were telling me to
'Cause
beat
they
them
knew.
and stuff,
They-
you know.
yeah, yeah.
They're like,
So then
yeah,
it was different.
she can kick our ass, so
that
we're gonna root for you.
She might hit us at the end of the
Make us look good.
So
because
it
we're
was
not
rough.
doing it.
Well, because again, going back to this, the testosterone-driven idea, all of a sudden now these guys are here, and this girl is putting in the effort. Because I'm sure you worked your butt off.
Oh yeah.
You were there every day. You were constantly bettering yourself, and people see that. No matter whether you're a male or female, you
Yeah.
see that. You have to recognize it. But then to get beat.
Yeah.
Thinking, oh, we have the upper, we
Yeah,
have
because,
the upper
yeah.
body strength. We're physically stronger than her. We know. Oh shit. We gotta step up our game. So there was definitely an influence. And at one point, did you feel that you earned that respect, working as hard
No,
as you did?
I didn't. It took a
Wow.
long time. In fact, my
Wow.
uncle, when he used to come down to the conventions, he used to not even acknowledge me being a sensei at all. And it wasn't until I did become a sensei when he would introduce me as, this is my niece, the sensei. But
Before
he
then,
didn't
nothing.
like it. He told my dad and my mom that I should quit, that I shouldn't be on the mat.
Wow, he was one of those
because
guys who-
all of his daughters, he wouldn't allow them to learn martial arts.
Why? What was his
He had
reasoning?
12 kids.
Oh God.
No, he was very male chauvinistic.
Oh, there you go.
I mean,
He had 12
Well, yeah,
kids.
and then again, this is back in the 60s.
He had a
and
dozen.
early
Well, in the
70s,
70s, right? But
70s,
he,
right, yeah.
you know, it's the way it was.
Yeah.
And so all of my cousins, all my female cousins, you know, they didn't get that opportunity to really train like they did. And you know, my uncle was a farrier. He was a horseshoer
Okay.
Oh, okay.
in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And so he's, you know, macho.
yeah.
So all of the boys became farriers. And all of the boys became, you know, they all actually were
Oh.
martial artists, you
Wow.
know, or most of them, not all of them, but most of them did.
Seems like by force. Like they didn't have much of a choice.
Well, you know, they need to take care of themselves.
No, I get that. But you were telling us earlier that your brother, because he started off before you in judo, and then
No,
you eventually
we did it together.
you just
yeah.
started together.
Yeah.
But he eventually quit and became.
A DJ,
dancer.
dancer.
Mom wanted me to be the hula dancer, and my brother to be the judoka. And it turned out my brother was a disco dancer, but you know.
I like that.
She always told that story. You know,
So can you actually dance though?
you know,
Did you learn some of it? Yeah.
I
on.
had to learn some,
For the family gatherings.
but I really suck at it. You know?
I promise we
and
won't
the
have
disco dancing.
We won't make you do that.
You know the
demo later
disco
on.
dancing
Yeah.
thing? You know when the guys grab a
Yeah.
hold of your hand like this
Yeah.
and you're going to go, I ended up going like this, right? It's like, oh my
He's
God.
flinging the guy.
Yeah, I'm flinging
Dislocated
the
his
guys,
arm.
you know?
Oh my
to throw 'em,
goodness.
right?
Oh my God, that's too funny.
You're halfway into the movie before
Yeah.
you realize, oh wait.
So it's hard for me because I said, I can't do this. because I'm-
Instinctually,
you just
Yeah.
want to throw them, right? So, terrible.
So
Don't hold my
you were not one of those prissy girls running, walking around.
You know, but I always wanted to make sure, even when I taught my female students, I said, you know what? I want you to be tough on the mat, but when you're off the mat, you're ladies.
Huh.
And we actually went to the Ohana, and I told them, look, I want you guys to all bring a dress. They're like, Sensei, are you kidding?
They're like,
I said, no, I want you to bring a dress
This is
because we're going to go to the banquet,
right,
and I want everybody to see that you're ladies.
right.
And unassuming, like I said, you know. So they did.
I like
I have a great picture of the four of us all wearing dresses.
Oh, you're gonna
and
show us
all
later.
went. You
Yeah.
know, it was really nice.
That's
it was really
hilarious.
nice. So
Wow.
it was. They all kind of were happy to be. You know, I mean, you got to show them that
Yeah.
we're women.
You're right.
You know, but we want to look good. I try to make sure that I keep that, as I think, you know, we don't want guys to think that we are butch. Or
Right.
you know, not all of us. You know, I
Right.
mean, there are a few of us that aren't. You know,
The
but
PE teachers.
Uh,
and there's nothing wrong with
no-
that.
yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm
of
just
course.
saying is
Right.
that you know
you get
You wanna-
typecasted.
I want to go ahead and look
Like-
nice,
yeah.
and I want to look like a lady. You
Right.
know, because that's what I am.
Right.
That's what I am first.
Lady in the street, monster on the mat.
That's
right.
how it should be.
I
I like that.
I like it. We're going to get shirts.
Yeah,
We're gonna
lady
get
in the
shit-
street in the back, monster on the mat. Okay, so it looks like your uncle was pretty much against it. Pretty much the entire culture that you grew up in the martial arts was against you advancing in this art. Did you have those that were more supportive, or just kind of like, oh, she's doing her thing?
Sound like Wally J might have been very
No.
supportive. Oh, he wasn't?
No.
I mean, the fact that he's training you. I would've
No,
thought-
it's the same thing because
Really?
That's amazing.
you know, even with Wally J, and I love Professor J.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, with all my heart, and I miss him a lot. But you know, I still felt, and even the girls behind me felt the same way, that we were not looked at in the same eyes
Right.
as the guys were. However, Auntie Bernice J was the one who would say, "Hey, how come these girls aren't getting recognized? How come these girls aren't getting promoted?"
Oh,
So
he had-
actually,
Oh.
Auntie
she had to
Bernice
kick his
J
ass and say,
would say,
Auntie
"Hey,
Bernice,
you know,
okay.
we need to be an equal."
Put in front, yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But he, you know, it was hard. It took a long time. I mean, the guys would get advanced. There's
Right.
still guys who advance further than I did, who are now masters. And
You can take them.
you know, no. The thing is I never got the promotion.
Really?
I wouldn't get promoted because you know I was a female.
Wow.
And I wasn't recognized in a lot of stuff I was doing. So
yeah, you know, and that was a sign of the times, though.
Yeah.
That really was. I mean, I remember when I was, because I was in,
Back when you were a woman.
yeah, back when I was a no, back in my time, you know, this was in the 70s when I was playing, and there was not a lot of women even in Kempo Karate, because I used to compete with Ralph Castro's tournaments, you know, and we'd go to Alameda, we go all over the place, and you're right, there was not a lot of women, and oddly enough, though, his daughters, Ralph Castro's
daughter,
daughter,
yeah,
June,
June,
you
she's
know,
good.
they were always on the floor, you know, doing forms and stuff, but they never really competed, you know, in the men's division.
He didn't allow him to.
And it was looked, you know, frowned upon at the time, and it was always just the men who were always fighting.
Oh, absolutely.
You know.
And if you were to be promoted as a woman, you had to know how to do kata.
Right.
I hated kata. I hate forms.
Do you still hate forms?
Yes, I do. I do. I don't. I mean, I want to know if I'm taking martial arts.
Right.
I want to know it works.
See?
Right.
So, you know, why would I do a form which is very pretty, you know, and I see a lot of people doing it, but I'm a brawler.
Right.
You know, I want to take you down, choke you, throw you, you know, do an armbar on you. I want to take you
Can you
out.
promise me later when we do the demos that we get to see that? I
Yep.
just
On
wanna
you?
see- Oh, no.
Ah.
You're my.
I'll let you borrow a gi.
I don't want to rip my shirt.
She'll be gentle when she tosses you. It's the landing you're gonna have problems.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's mats, right?
Some.
Some.
Hey,
Yeah, well, I
so
learned to
so
fall.
our good friend Dennis would be mad at me if I don't even mention this because he wanted me to ask you a question. So there are two women that he asked me to ask you about. One was
Gabriella?
Gabriella.
I think her name is.
Graciela?
Graciela.
Graciela,
Graciela,
yeah.
Okay.
sorry, that's right.
So tell me about her first.
Yeah.
And then the other one's a Japanese lady.
Janice Okamoto?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, because
my best friends.
Dennis,
Oh,
this
yeah.
is for you.
For you,
because
Dennis, because he mentioned that they were very big in their arts, but a lot of people don't really
Know
know
who they
much.
are.
Well,
about them.
actually, Graciela is very well known.
Yeah,
Yes, very. In fact, she's made Black Belt magazine 4 or 5 times.
really.
She actually wrote a book.
We're
She
just-
wrote a book
I guess
called
we're just
The
ignorant.
Lioness Within.
Oh wow.
She was the first female boxer.
Yeah, I saw her record.
Pretty
32,
impressive,
32 fights, 31 wins, 1 draw, no losses, 19 by knockout.